Alright, Assalamualaikum. This is the final video for chapter 10, which is on human resource management. And we are going to discuss on the last component of HR, which is on performance appraisal. And I just would like to remind you that the performance appraisal is under the components of developing our workforce. So performance appraisal is the evaluation of employees' current potential levels of performance to allow managers to make objective human resource decisions. And I believe that we have gone through, each and every one of us have gone through this performance appraisal before we can be rewarded with a bonus, a compensation, or increase in salary and whatnot. By at the end of the year, the organization will send out the team or the supervisors will evaluate in terms of how did we perform throughout the year. So they will check on you, they will observe your performance from day one for the year of 2020 until at the end of the year. So they will look into how did you perform. And not only that, this important, the performance appraisal is important in order to identify in terms of how well that you are doing. They also use this performance appraisal as a basis for distributing rewards, which can be used for raise and promotion, as well as to help the organizations to monitor the training a part of the employees as well. So these are some of the common evaluation techniques being adopted in order to evaluate employees. For example, we talk about objective methods, use measurable quantity as the basis of assessing performance. For example, I asked you to submit 3 assignments and you are able to submit 3 assignments. So in terms of objective methods, they are being fulfilled. And then we use judgmental methods based on the quality of the work block and in terms of the G's of your ideas on how you draft your ideas, your assignment, for example, that is more towards the judgmental methods. And we use different rating scales. And that's why some of you managed to get 26 out of 30, some of you managed to get 20, some of you managed to get 21, 22, and we have different rating scales. And then in organization, when we talk about evaluation techniques, kadang-kadang digunakan that scale lah, kan, in terms of kepribadian, kepimpinan, and then kerjasama, and then between scale 1 to 10, berapa manager nak bagi. And so that is part of the judgmental methods. Alright, the next one that we are going to discuss is on common evaluation techniques. Common evaluation techniques. There are certain errors that usually will occur with during the performance appraisal process. Number one, we need to use the performance appraisal as a whole evaluation and not only focusing on one single area. And we do not let an employee's poor performance in one area influence the evaluation of other areas of performance. We need to evaluate them objectively. If they are poor, not good in one area, don't judge them in different areas poorly. And evaluate the entire performance period and not the most recent behaviors of the employee. This is one of the danger. Sometimes when you have too many employees, like myself in my faculty in Malacca, there are 168, 70 employees altogether. Sometimes you cannot avoid from sometimes reflecting on the recent activities or performance of some of these employees. When you have large number of employees under your supervision, and sometimes some of them just recently conducted an event or a project which is prior to the evaluation phase or process that you are going to conduct in your organization. Sometimes that element, that event might reflected during the entire performance appraisal. So as a manager, you need to try to avoid that particular error and looking at the entire performance of each and every employee in your organization. We need to guard ourselves from any personal bias or discrimination in the evaluation process. These are some of the problems with the performance appraisal. Halo effect when managers rate employees high or low on all items because of one employee characteristic, because you just like him or her, and then suddenly you just give him or her on all criteria a high mark. Or katalah dengan seorang ni kita tak berapa nak suka, masa kita teringat yang masa dekat cafeteria hari tu dia terlanggar kita, jatuh air dia tumpah kena kat baju kita ke, for example, kan, memang it sounds ridiculous, but during the performance appraisal we keep on using that clumsiness of the employee to evaluate him or her on all criteria within the organization, which is not right. And then central tendency, kita bagi dia semua average pun tak baik juga. And then leniency or severity error when rater is unjustifiably easy or harsh in evaluating the performance. Ada lagi. And then contrast error, rating relative to each other rather than performance standard. We start to rate employees against one another, person A and person B, where in fact we need to rate them person A as person A and person B as person B in order to avoid this contrast error. And finally, we have this recency error, like I said earlier on, that my example earlier on, when you start to rate based on evaluation of the most recent performance of that particular employees. And for the last slide, when we talk about performance appraisal, you need to give your feedback. You need to tell and persuade to accept. It is a good communication process between you and your employee, and then allow them to respond for the marks that you have given to them, and then evaluate own performance. One of the problem solving approach is in some organization they let the employee to evaluate themselves first. So kalau kita letak markah kita sendiri, kalau orang bagi markah 8/10 kita bising, orang bagi kita markah 7/10 kita bising, cuba kita evaluate kita punya leadership sendiri dekat organisation. Kita tahu sama ada whether or not we are a good leader ataupun tidak. Kita boleh tahu sama ada kita is a good team member ataupun tidak. Do not be surprised. Sometimes the self-evaluation punya marks are much lower than the real marks being given by the organization. And yet we still complain when the organization is providing us with our marks for the performance appraisal. And then sometimes kita gunakan mixed interview, mixed approach, and the most recent one we use a 360-degree evaluation where we collect anonymous reviews about an employee from his or her peers, subordinates and supervisors. So that is the end of this particular chapter, and I wish that you are going to all of your learning process will be eased. You are going to have easy process of understanding this chapter, and this chapter I reckon is should be close to your heart because you guys are all HR students. If I were you, I will go back to the textbook in order to read each and every single components of the HR, so that I would have a basic understanding what are the things that I'm going to explore throughout my degree life lah. And so with that, thank you so much. Assalamualaikum, and I'll see you guys when I see you, okay? So please take care.